Welcome to AFlame Ministry with your host, Pastor Kathleen Panning. AFlame Ministry TV empowers those in ministry, both professional faith leaders and members of the faith community, by talking about a wide variety of topics related to ministry so that we can grow in loving ourselves, sharing God's love with others, and being faithful leaders. Now, let's start the show.
Welcome to AFlame Ministry TV on the AFlame Ministry channel. This is a show about ministry, and often I have a guest on this show, and sometimes my guest talks about helping us bridge differences between different faiths and faith communities to dispel some misunderstandings and build bridges. Other times, my guest talks about things that are common to all faiths because they're about us as people. My guest today is kind of in that second position. She is Kim Serafini, and Kim is the creator of Positive Prime. She is a much-loved executive coach and business advisor. She's the inventor of Lithos Therapy, a best-selling author, world-class keynote speaker, and angel investor. Being the founder of Positive Prime and CEO of this health and edutech company, she's leading new trends in health and wellness, self-care, and technological solutions, products, and services. Her experience has led her to be one of the world's leaders in the science of positive priming. This is incredibly important for accelerating learning and development. Plus, it helps with peak performance, engagement, improved mental health, resilience, innovation, and creativity. Devoted to helping others make significant, long-lasting, rapid, and successful changes, Kim is committed to continually innovating and leading with advanced technologies. Her career and business pursuits have involved filming interviews with many of the world's highest profile business leaders, acclaimed scientists, and the most famous self-help gurus to confirm the right approaches, models, methods, and techniques to employ towards personal and professional development and transformation, the synthesis of which is Positive Prime. Kim has lived and worked in over 5 regions of the world, including the UK, Europe, the USA, Australia, and Asia. She has enthusiastically visited 22 countries and many US states. She loves traveling, exploring new cultures and ideas, while affectionately sharing her philosophy of positivity, living up to her title as the Queen of Gratitude. Kim, welcome to AFlame Ministry.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is such a beautiful introduction. I really appreciate being here. It is a privilege, and I am so grateful for those of you who are listening in or watching right now. It is, get ready, a beautiful moment in time, and let's make the most of it.
And for everybody to know, we are doing this interview from 2 different continents, 2 different parts of the world, because Kim right now is in Australia and I am in the United States. So if there's a bit of a delay at times and things like that, just know that's part of the technology we have to deal with today. But thank you, Kim, for all of the putting up with all of this in the technology too. So.
Given that we're about to talk about a technology that's available on the internet 24/7, I am well versed in the fact that no matter how big or giant the company is, the reality is technology does actually make our lives a lot more frustrating than it needs to be, even though it was designed to make our lives much better. But funnily enough, in this day and age, we're still sitting on hold, for endless moments and hours, and we're still stuck in gridlock. And you kind of think, why hasn't the technology or the algorithms figure out how to have free-flowing traffic already? And then, of course, you completely just dive into driverless cars. Is it that where people are involved, there are problems with technology? And if technology is involved alone, is there any real issue?
Well, thinking about technology, there are a lot of faith communities that are having to learn a lot of technology these days because of COVID, and delve into doing things like we're doing, and other things on technology that they had never planned on doing before. But you're using technology in a way of helping us kind of reimagine how to get over some of the hurdles that we experience in life, and some of the disappointments and the difficulties. So please tell us a little bit about what positive prime is and the science of positive priming.
Okie dokie. Well, what I can tell you is that I set out to create positive prime really to bring about peace inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have discovered, and I've certainly observed now in tens of thousands of people, that the more peaceful that we actually feel internally, we're not at war with ourselves. We don't have this inner voice that's mean or nasty or judgmental or causes us to really, quite frankly, pass judgment on others. When we have a way to actually be calm and centered and balanced and very connected to source, we emanate a beautiful, compassionate love into the world. And that actually causes something that science has labeled emotional contagion. And it's a bit like, if I yawn, you'll yawn too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have created what is effectively an exercise or an activity. It's an intervention that's available 24/7 online. And it effectively uses what we now know from the fields of neuroscience and positive psychology and change management. And there's a lot of aspects of the proprietary formula that we created inside our own proprietary player. And so we have a very special presentation medium that allows us to do some really very groovy things that are quite clever in terms of the way that we help people to change the lens through which they see and experience the world. I could tell you hundreds of stories for the next couple of hours, people who sleep more soundly, people who have suffered from PTSD, no longer have any psychotic episodes. It's really quite interesting and maybe even ironic. I've had a couple of experiences where I've been completely unconscious, very unexpectedly. They didn't know what was wrong with me. I had lots and lots of tests over a lot of times, and I now have a cardiac pacemaker. But I had my heart completely stop for over 20 seconds. And I had a little device that was implanted into my chest so that they knew that. And in these experiences, I can tell you that I actually had that kind of real anchoring in spirituality. I was already a believer. I was already committed. I was already living life in the most thoughtful and considerate way I could. I was already spreading happiness. I was already sharing with people the value of really understanding how blessed you are, how fortunate you are. And I was extremely lucky because I came back alive 6 times. My heart literally kicked back into gear after being stopped for extended periods of time. And I recovered without any irreversible damage to any of my systems, whether that was my digestive system or my cardiovascular system. And so the funny thing is that even though I have a cardiac pacemaker, there's absolutely nothing wrong with my heart. And they put me into a cardiac MRI and they're like, she's a miracle. There's nothing wrong technically with her heart. No functional issues, no structural issues. There are no electrical issues. Like, wow. And so I became this incredibly rare human being. But we are all incredibly rare human beings. We're unique, we're gorgeous, we're magnificent. And so what the technology does, I believe, in terms of viewing what we call a positive prime session, which is an experience that you go through that's very emotionally evocative and it lasts about 3 to 5 minutes. It's similar to me as a combination of a little bit of prayer, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of quiet contemplation, a little bit of mindfulness, and it's a little bit of really allowing you to have a moment with yourself and connect with the divine that's within. And honestly, I can show you now just how we do that. If you would like, I'll share my screen, shall I?
That would be wonderful. Give people an idea of really what this looks like and what it is. So please do.
Okay. All right, beautiful. So I'm going to just play a really short little video. This is a nice intro. It's a good foundation. And tell me if you can hear the sound. Brilliant. So what I can tell everybody is that we think in pictures. Okay, we absolutely do think in pictures. I could all say to you, whatever you do, don't think of a pink elephant balloon that's floating in the room behind you.
So
I think you all just saw a pink elephant,
mm-hmm.
right? So we as human beings give ourselves these instructions, and we interpret these instructions for the way that we live life and the way that we go about our business, the way that we, quite frankly, communicate with others, and we interpret that into pictures. And so when a lot of us have really disempowering or disenchanting inner voices, maybe we've been criticized, maybe we've actually we've been through a tough time and we haven't had somebody who's been supportive or helpful or helped us to understand our own power and our own potential. We can have, quite frankly, a really nasty voice inside of our head. And so what you're about to see is a series of 800 images and 200 phrases, and they're very, very specifically and carefully curated. And each one of those photographs that you're about to see has been chosen for a reason that adheres to a positive psychology or a neuroscience, a brain science aspect that's about making your brain work in a beautiful, optimal way. And we internally have a rule around the images that we choose. So in the selection of 800, we have a ratio that addresses all of the diversity and inclusion issues you could possibly think about. And what I have gathered is that we can actually sensitize the world by showing lots of people, lots of different images. Our brains become more familiar with, accept, and allow the diversity. So there is a very important process that we go through in the quality of these images and in the way that we actually gather them. We have all races and all religions represented, and I mean all, in every single piece of content we create. We have all types of people, sizes of people, we have all ages of people, and we're actually showing the very best so that we're inclined towards the best of the environment and lots of other issues that are really important in today's age. So let me just play this for you, and I'll mute the music and I'll speed it up and slow it down, and you will see. From a neuroscience perspective, the faster it goes, the easier it is for your subconscious to actually accept and adopt what it is that you're seeing. So you will see, and I'm just going to go really slowly, there are images of people smiling a very special smile. It's called a Duchenne smile. It's genuine, it's warm-hearted, it's sincere. And we as human beings, we actually process images of other people's smiles in what they call pre-conscious processing. And the retina in our eyes sends a message to the mirror neurons in our brain, and our brain then sends messages to our endocrine system. And hormonally, we actually start to produce more dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, these endorphins and hormones, these neurotransmitters that actually allow us to behave, quite frankly, better and brighter. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the science has actually been done. So we've researched this and we've shown that if you watch this for a minimum of 3 minutes a day, and it must be at least 3 minutes a day, but it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 15 minutes. It depends what you're struggling with or what opportunities you're trying to actually prepare yourself for. Well, we know that the effects of this last 6 to 8 hours, which is actually quite a remarkable thing for us to be able to say scientifically. And interestingly enough, what's happening is that your brain is starting to function in a better way, literally better. You are actually becoming smarter or more clever. So we could show you a whole heap of puzzles, or we could show you some case studies, and you will come to more accurate decisions faster if you've actually been what's called positively primed. And the way that you are positively primed is by viewing this particular session. And inside our technology, you can customize the experience. So all of our members get a chance to actually upload photographs of their own, their families, their pets, their holidays, anything that's really meaningful and significant to them. And what happens is that the identity, we actually then start to wrap ourselves around the really good quality messages that we see inside a positive prime session.
Well, I'm just want to say, the idea that 3 minutes a day can have that profound of an effect it's awesome. A little scary on the one hand too, but it's awesome that, it doesn't take hours. It doesn't take setting aside, 20 minutes at a time for meditation or a half an hour or something. Most of us can find 3 minutes, a number of different places in the day to be able to do this.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are listening, what's very interesting is that we are actually primed without most of us knowing. There's a great researcher. Her name is Michelle Gillen. She studied at the University of Pennsylvania under Professor Martin Seligman, one of the fathers in the field of positive psychology. And she was actually commissioned, along with Martin Seligman and a few others, by Arianna Huffington. And some of you may remember Huffington Post was actually created by a woman by the name of Arianna Huffington. And Arianna Huffington actually had this research done that proved that 15 minutes of the news actually negatively primes you, and it impacts your health in a detrimental way. It actually impacts your relationships in a detrimental way. And so there is real harm being done, and they actually scientifically proved that. What's fascinating is that I actually got to work with Michelle Gillen and her very famous husband. His name is Shawn Achor, Shawn Achor, Achor. And he actually did his master's in divinity at Harvard University. You can Google Shawn Achor, and he wrote an amazing book called The Happiness Advantage. And interestingly enough, I showed Shawn and Michelle what I had created with Positive Prime sessions. And it was they who actually organized for the efficacy research that proves that it works scientifically. And that's because they were really fascinated about what we're really up to here, which is bringing about world peace. And those people of that caliber and that pedigree started to work with me and help me to really have the courage to invest millions of dollars now to actually create this beautiful experience for the world. If it wasn't for them, I don't think that I'd still be here right now, offering this in this kind of way.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking about is then if a faith community started sharing this within the membership, and maybe a small group of people get together and, everybody has their own session going or something like that, or even together views one. And the effect that could have within a faith community, especially if there's any kind of difficulty going on in that community, for families that might be going through some difficulty, helping children grow in not just in the faith, but as wonderful human beings. I'm just thinking as we're talking, as you've been talking about the many different ways that a faith leader could use this for themselves as they prime themselves for writing the weekly message or whatever they're doing and visiting with people, and exploring new technologies, how to help people change, because faith communities are not known always as the easiest places to bring about change, for one thing. We like to hang on to the traditions very well. And sometimes we need to change because the world changes. So does all of this make sense for what you're saying and what you're seeing for Positive Prime?
It absolutely does. And it reminds me of a woman that we've worked with thus far. So maybe somebody who's listening is like Reverend Karen Russo. She was actually a minister at Agape in Los Angeles when I first met her, with Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. And interestingly enough, she'd actually written a book that was about spiritual healing with respect to finances. It's actually called The Money Keys. Anyway, to cut an extremely long story short, what actually happened was we created a Positive Prime session that was called The Money Keys. That was the summary, the essence of the messages, the key important points in the book. And then we made sure that all of the messages then resonated with the images. And of course, we also included the formula. And so everybody who watches her particular session is having the accelerated learning around the content of her book. They're also being positively primed by our formula because of the way that we select these 800 images. And it helps to have people constantly revisit her and her messages, because in each one of these Positive Prime sessions, on the phrases, templates, we actually can include some photographs or some artwork that could be either a brand or it could be somebody's photograph, and you get the idea. And Kathleen, it's a very important point for me to make to everybody. We actually have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that we work with, and we create these Positive Prime sessions for them, for their group of people. Now, that could be a manager in a large organization who wants to use positive priming for sales training. And it's equally as effective for a massage therapist to actually have their clients drop into this beautiful zone where they're ready for receiving a massage, and they're receiving all of these messages that are around being healthy and allowing their bodies to heal and receiving the intention of the massage therapist. And so I could literally give you hundreds of different applications for the way that this could be used, but you're absolutely spot on. You could show your congregation a Positive Prime session, and all of the messages could be the key messages that you would like to be living inside of people with the way that they express themselves in the world. There are things that we all need to be reminded of regularly and consistently. And so if I'm watching a Positive Prime session and today I read God Loves Me, and I'm reminded of that, the question is, who do I then behave as? Who am I being in the world today? Because it's ever present. And then if I see that phrase, God loves me, I am loved, then I see a photograph of me because I've actually personalized the experience. It starts to get anchored, and that starts to be the way that I know that I am.
And then that could be broadened to God loves me, I love others. And, the consequence of being loved is to be able to love easier, more freely, more completely. And so, the twofold side of that would be absolutely wonderful to do. Yeah. So,
what's really interesting is that I created a Positive Prime session for my own personal uses, which was about being loved. And I did so when I was single. I wasn't in a long-term, meaningful and significant committed relationship. And I'd actually had my heart broken in, various romances.
Mm-hmm.
And I created a particular session that was about me reminding me how loved I am. And that's loved by love, really loved by the environment that cradles me, loved by God, loved by family members. I'm really loved by some of my clients and my friends. And the more that I started to really resonate in this knowing that I'm so loved, I became more loving and I showed up in the world as this beacon for love. And that then actually helped me to attract the love of my life. And had I not been in that state, I don't think that I really would have connected in such a profound way with my Cameron, who loves me, all of me, my idiosyncrasies, my everything, inside out, upside down, and around and around.
Mm-hmm.
He just loves me for who I am without wanting or needing to change me. And I believe it's because I anchored myself in pure love first.
Yeah. I get the feeling we could continue talking about this for hours and everything. And, I'm watching you and watching the video playing here yet and the images. And I hope that the listeners are doing both of those too. But we do have to time limit on this, but it's been delightful having you here, Kim. And I will put a link on the screen so that people know where to go to find Positive Prime and how to get to find out more if they're interested. And if I remember right, there's a way to get a period of time where people can try it out, so to speak. Do I remember that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We encourage people to create an account and absolutely they will get 10 days trial for free. You can cancel during that period. You, of course, do put your credit card details in, and we need to know that you're a real person. And if you decide to stay, it'll be automatically charged. And if not, we will cancel it for you. And we have people who dive into what it is that we have to offer. I will also say, all of our members receive something extra special as well. We have 365 days of very short videos that are great coaching and mentoring and support. And it's just a wonder. And we normally sell that program for $499, but it's actually included for all of you, for those of you who are clicking on this particular link. And that's the only way that you can get it included is if you click on the link. What I would also leave you with is that we actually have a lot of charitable organizations, a lot of social organizations, and a lot of religious organizations, a lot of schools, a lot of sporting clubs who use Positive Prime also in their fundraising activities, because we have a very robust affiliate opportunity. And so if you have your interest piqued and you would like to explore that, become a member, experience it for yourself, start to explore, investigate, dive deeper, and then reach out to us and say, hey, I really want to use this for fundraising, or I really want to use this in, a particular way, how, and we'll have that conversation with you.
Fantastic. So thank you, Kim, for your time and your expertise and sharing your love with the world through Positive Prime.
Thank you for watching AFlame Ministry TV with Pastor Kathleen Panning. Join us again.